A warning by Britain's head of defence that China poses a real nuclear threat to the West has set the proverbial cat amongst the pigeons. The British Admiral said that there's word that China's nuclear arsenal will be on par with the United States and Russia by 2030, and that a third nuclear age could be in the offing. Take a look.
The Admiral termed it plain speak on threats faced and responses needed. He defined it as battle lines for this third nuclear age beyond the Cold War and non-proliferation eras. Russia, China, Iran, North Korea on one side, the Western Bloc, the US, NATO, UK on the other. He cited what he called a threat to the West from each. Russia's wild threats of tactical nuclear use and simulated attacks against NATO countries, a continuous nuclear buildup in China, Iran's refusal to cooperate with the International Atomic Energy Agency, and North Korea's ballistic missile program and erratic behavior. The biggest challenge, he warned, comes from here. China as a nuclear threat was insignificant for decades. Now its nuclear arsenal is said to be expanding more quickly than anyone else. These figures from the Federation of American Scientists and the Pentagon China Military Power Report point at a tripling of China's nuclear arsenal by 2035. That'll bring Beijing at par with Moscow and Washington in terms of nuke wealth. The Chinese threat comes in the backdrop of warnings that Britain needed to be ready to fight a major war in 3 years. So what's the Admiral's answer to keeping the non-West axis at bay? Increased defense spending with the stress that instability costs the economy more than defense and deterrence. He stressed that this spending has to be kept strong and strengthened against a more dangerous Russia. Admiral Sir Tony said there was only a remote chance of invasion of any NATO member thanks to the alliance's strategy of deterrence. Bottom line, a nuclear build-up is the foundation of ensuring a lasting peace. He prescribes piling up nukes as the road to peace. The irony couldn't be more glaring. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And I earlier spoke with Mr. John Erath, who's a Senior Policy Director for the Centre for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation. Listening to what he had to say.
The unconstrained Chinese buildup of nuclear weapons is cause for great concern. Since the end of the Cold War, every year from 1990 to 2022, there were fewer and fewer nuclear weapons in the world. In 2022, for the first time, that changed, and there were more such weapons at the end of the year than at the beginning, and that is due to China. So that's obviously a reason to be very concerned about this. It's also that China is not transparent about what their plan is, how many nuclear weapons they're going to need, and for what purpose. Is it for deterrence, for offensive action, for something else? That leads to uncertainty, that leads to unease in everybody else's capitals. And it sets the conditions for a potential renewal of an arms race.